Well, welcome to the Rancho Cucamonga Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for our candidates for Cucamonga Valley Water District, also sponsored by Southern California Edison. I want to thank each of our candidates for coming and participating. The format will be as follows. Each candidate will have a 90-second introduction, opening remarks of personal background prior to the questions and answers. There will be an individual in front of the candidate's stage with a 1 minute, 30, and 15-second card and a stop card. Please adhere to the time allotted as this forum is being taped for broadcast. All the candidates who have filed for this office had been invited to this forum. Of course, proper decorum will be expected and outbursts will not be tolerated. Candidates have randomly drawn their seating positions, and we will begin in order to my left. When we come to the question and answer segment, all questions have been received from our Rancho Cucamonga Chamber of Commerce members. The first question will be given to all of our candidates for the Water District. This question is chosen by our chamber members, and this particular question was not given to the candidates in advance. The following questions will be randomly drawn, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to reply. A rebuttal may replace the next question by the following candidate. After all candidates have had an opportunity to address the questions, we will then return for closing remarks, in which a drawing of names will establish order of closing remarks, so that it will also be random, and candidates will have 2 minutes each in their closing. During this segment, there will be 2 time card checks, a 30-second and 15-second, and a stop. We ask that each candidate adhere to the time allotment again. So we will begin with our first, Mr. Cetina, with your opening 90-second.
Thank you very much. My name is Luis Cetina. I want to thank the Chamber for putting this on, and I want to thank all the people who are watching us at home. My name is Luis Cetina. I am a husband, father of 5 children. My family first moved out to Rancho Cucamonga 20 years ago. My sister and her husband run a Dominich daycare business. For many years we visited my sister, and 8 years ago I decided to bring my newlywed wife and our 2 children to Rancho, and we're making this our home. I'm active in my church, and I'm an 8-time AYSO coach. I'm running for Cucamonga Valley Water District because I ran 4 years ago. I was 6th on the ballot of 8, and I fell short by 0.5%. And I'm running because I have 25 years experience with the Metropolitan Water District. I'm committed to my community in terms of my volunteer work, and I have a vision. My job is to advance water policy for Southern California, and I want to do it in my backyard for my kids, for your families, and for our economic prosperity. And that's what I want to do, and I have many plans ahead. Some of them are going to be thinking outside the box, and I'll share them with you today. Because water is the foundation for any community's economic prosperity, and it begins here. Many candidates have been talking about jobs, and there's a lot of ways to create jobs, but you're not going to create them unless investors sense a reliability and a sure supply of high-quality, low-cost drinking water. Thank you. Luis Cetina for Cucamonga Valley Water District.
Mr. Fletcher, your opening remarks.
Well, I also would like to thank the Chamber for this opportunity to get together and talk to the community. I guess that's not, you really have, there you go, right into it. Okay. A lot of you already know me. My name is Rich Fletcher. If you don't know me, out on the table, there's a flyer there. Please pick it up. And my website, www.richfletcher.com. On the flyer, it says, lives in the community. I've been in the community for 32 years as a resident, work in the community. I've owned my own business finance company for 30 years in Rancho Cucamonga, serves the community. I have been active in this community on the Planning Commission for 10 years, and really proud of the service that we've given here. I'm running for Water Board because I think there needs to be a little diversity on the board. Presently, we've got all public officials and water industry employees on the board, and I think for proper representation, I think we need some independent, business-oriented representation on the board. So that's all I've got for right now, and I'd like you to keep it in mind, vote for Rich Fletcher on November 6th. Thank you.
Mr. Curtalo.
Thank you very much. Am I on here? Okay. I also would like to thank the Chamber and also Southern California Edison for making this forum possible and giving us an opportunity to address the community. My name is James Curatello, Jr. I'm running for re-election to our water board. I know that we all are very aware that we face very serious challenges at every level of government. I passionately believe water is our most vital resource. Who we select on the water board to serve for the next 4 years is very important. We need leaders, men and women, who are dedicated, competent, and in touch with the people they represent. I lived in Rancho Cucamonga for 27 years. My wife Donna and I have raised our family here. Donna and I have raised our family here. And I have kept my oath to honorably serve my community as a firefighter for 27 years and as an elected official on the water board for 12 years. I take my oath very seriously, and if reelected, I will live up to the high standard that this community has set for public officials. In addition to my public service record, I have a business background. I was a contractor in San Gabriel Valley and in the Inland Empire floor covering for 2 decades. I do bring a common sense business approach to our water board, and we are an
And I'm sorry, I
excellent-
have to interrupt you as your
On
time
water
comes to a close.
Thank you.
Mr. Reed.
Yes, my name is Randall Reed, and I also want to thank the Rancho Cucamonga Chamber of Commerce and the Southern California Edison for putting on this forum, for putting on the candidates forum. I also wanted to thank my wife, who's in the audience tonight, Chris, for her support, and my family and friends. I've lived in Rancho Cucamonga, where I used to live was called Altaloma, for over 45 years. I've gone through the school districts here, starting with Carnelian, going through Altaloma High School, the junior high, Chaffee, and then graduating from Cal State San Bernardino. During that time, the only time I've ever left the area was to serve the United States Marine Corps, because I thought that service was going to increase my value to my nation. And it has been, because I spent over 11 years as active and reservist. Coming back after my graduation from Cal State, I entered into 25 years in the wastewater business. I also that pushed me to get into water, because I seen what we do in wastewater and how we could recycle the water within our area and putting that water in the ground, which is, I'll talk about later how much and how important that is. But once again, thank you. I'm currently on the board of Rancho Cucamonga Valley Water District, and my name is Randall Reed. Thank you.
Moving into our question and answers, this first question will be asked of all of our candidates. We'll begin with Mr. Fletcher. And if you like, the question has several parts, so if you need me to repeat it, please just tell me. Eventually, growth will come back to this area, and when it does, what will you do in order to secure the district's water supply for future growth? Where does the Cucamonga Valley Water District receive its water supply, and how will that be sustained in future years?
Well, fortunately, the city of Rancho Cucamonga, the city of Rancho Cucamonga is about 90% built out right now. So future growth is going to be limited. I think the water district has also had the foresight and the planning to assess what the needs would be as the city grows out. Presently, the water district's got a little over 100 employees and serve 185,000 customers. And when the region grows out, probably be over 200,000. So there's the capacity to handle the volume and the needs there. Was there a second part to that question?
Where does the Cucamonga Valley Water District receive its water supply from, and how will that be sustained in future years?
Well, presently, most of the water supplies come from groundwater, surface water, and also imported water. The district has done a good job in reducing the amount of imported water to below 50%. That is good for the district and the community because the imported water is more expensive than the water we can draw out. So as far as water supplies, we're in pretty good shape.
Okay. This is question number 1 in the packet that you all did receive. So do you need me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay.
And that we're in good shape is no accident for water supply. But I'm sorry. Okay. Well, look, growth and development, it's always been cyclic. We've always experienced surges in development and then slack periods. I have to say, in my lifetime, I don't think we've experienced a valley this deep or certainly for this length of period. But strategic planning has always been part of our water district's business plan. It certainly has been since I've been on the water district. We've been very proactive in strategic planning. And that's allowed us to make plans for the periods of growth and development. I can tell you that we commonly plan and have for a number of years now, 1, 5, and 10 years out into the future. We sit and with our expert staff, we try to predict what our future needs are going to be for our community. And because of that, we've increased our number of wells and reservoirs. We've increased our treatment capabilities. In fact, at this time, we have an expansion going on at our large Lloyd Michael treatment plant to increase our treatment of 30 million gallons a day increase, which will bring us up to about 90 million. We've always looked to secure new sources of water. When we do develop, we overdevelop in a common sense way, but we build capacity into our system. We use larger pipes, pumps, and tanks than are needed immediately for future growth. We anticipate future growth, and we're praying that it comes sooner than later. And I can say with confidence to you that your water district is prepared to provide the water that this community will need and want when the surge comes back and development starts again. Thank you.
Mr. Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I have it in front of me. It's going to be kind of hard to follow my fellow board member, but I'll take a different angle. We receive our water from 3 different places, from the Metropolitan Water District, which is our, as you know, our state water. That's our outside water. We also receive it from the ground, which is, we're blessed with a large aquifer. And then being next to the canyons, we receive it from the surface area. And that makes up 50, 40, 9%. But we have another 1% that comes from recycled water. And that's something that I'm very thrilled about, because that's something I wanted to push through starting 8 years ago, the recycled water. Now, that recycled water that we use within our area is not as much as I would like because of the infrastructure. As you know, it just costs a lot of money to put recycled water pipes through a town. But we're using it in Victoria Gardens. We're using it at Quake Stadium. We're using it in our peak power plant, which is off Etiwanda Avenue. So these are the wonderful things we do when we think outside the box. Also, the water we don't use, we percolate into the ground. So that recycled water goes into the ground, and in about 50 years to 100 years, we'll be using it again because Mother Nature would have filtered it out. So it creates this cyclic thing that we're always looking at throughout the box, and I'm just pleased that we're constantly doing that, along with our staff of thinking outside the box. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stina, do you need me to answer?
Would you repeat the question?
Eventually, growth will come back to this area, and when it does, what will you do in order to secure the district's water supply for future growth? Where does the Cucamonga Valley Water District receive its water supply from, and how will that be sustained in future years?
I'm going to change that question a little bit. because a part to that question was, and when it does, what will you do? I'm going to do it now. And what am I going to do? I'm going to maximize our sources. We have to ensure ourselves, collectively with everybody else in the state, that we build a Bay Delta Conservation Plan. We get a lot of water we import a lot of water, and that's not good. We need to reduce that portfolio. Our watershed, there are watersheds adjacent to us that are currently, agencies are redesignating them. I would like to redesignate our watershed. We get 4 sources of watershed so that we can do some upstream storage. Let's think outside the box. In the year 2020, we are going to have to consume 20% of what we've been using. In 2015, it's 15%. I also want to include you in the equation. There are bills that allow me, as your director, to offer you low interest rate loans. We'll go through a public process to determine that. And I want you to put in some systems, cistern systems, rain harvesting. I also want to offer large owners, Blumenfeld had a bill, some remember Blumenfeld 474, that allow agencies to lend money, generate some revenue at the same time you save water. The more water you save, the less imported water I have to buy. Yes, we have a tremendous aquifer in the Chino Basin, but it's going to cost us more than our own Cucamonga Basin. I want to incorporate you into the solution, and I want to think outside the box. I want to do public-private partnerships to build out our infrastructure. Today I was talking to a gentleman with the Public-Private Partnership Institute in America, and there's case studies of that being done in Burlingame, California. We can do that here. There's no money in the state. There's no money in the federal government. I want to bring businesses back who want to establish themselves here, create jobs, and we can do it. It's our resource. Thank you.
For our next question, we'll begin with Mr. Caratello, as soon as I separate these papers. This is question number 9 in what you received. There are strict legislative mandates regarding to conservation goals, which need to be achieved by 2020. What is the best strategy a water agency should take to implement these goals?
Okay, and let me get the rules straight here. I can rebut for a portion of
Yes,
my time?
or
Okay. Can I do both if I can fit it in the time allotment?
if you can do it in 2 minutes.
Because this is important. This is very important. And there are some important decisions for voters to make and to select people who are going to represent them on the water board. Water is an important issue. Making statements that can't be supported once you're on the board are of no use to the community. We have 2 basins, the Chino Basin and the Cucamonga Basin. The Cucamonga Basin is not an optimum basin for banking groundwater for a number of reasons. The Chino Basin is, and we have been doing that for decades. In fact, we have 62,000 acre-feet of water presently banked in Chino Basin, which is a bowl-like geologic structure underneath the ground, and we have a separate bank. Besides what we have our water rights for annually, we have a separate account of 62,000 acre-feet. That is enough water to replace our state water project should it be cut off. The Sacramento Delta is very fragile. Should we lose that state source, we literally have enough water in just our bank in Chino Basin to maintain our production and water use for 2 whole years. That's very good planning, and we were very proactive in doing that. That's to rebut the basin issue and storage. As far as the 2020 plan, that was the question, correct?
Yes, you have about 30 seconds.
And I've got 9 seconds to do it, but we're on schedule. In fact, we're ahead of schedule. We've, through voluntary conservation, through a number of programs, recycled water, recharging, through public education, we're virtually partners with every single school in our district for future.
And I'm sorry I have to interrupt.
But that's
you for your
okay.
time.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Mr. Reed, this is question number 11 that you received. Is the water district's supply of water adequate for the future development in the district?
Well, yes, as Director Jim Curtola described, we're banking water. We have over 62,000 acre-feet of water, and that happened by no accident. We did that on purpose. Also along the way is, along with that supply is, as I talk about, the recycled water. You have to remember, water in California is a precious resource. In fact, Article 10 of the state constitution states that it should not be wasted. It should be used reliably. And that's what we're out to do at Cucamonga Valley Water District. It's how do we use this resource reliably and make sure that our customers, now I can tell you, and I can just imagine, not one person today woke up thinking that their shower wasn't going to be there, that when they turned on their faucet, the water wasn't going to flow out of it. And that's through design. We are so lucky to live in this community, in fact, in this nation where water is so plentiful. You have other nations and countries where people wake up and every day they're worrying about, is the shower going to be there? Where people are walking miles. And it's through to get their water, daily ration. And here, the only time we think of water is when we pay our water bill. And that's through design. That's through hard work. That's through people making long-term commitments to make sure there's valuable employees in place to make those decisions. It's to make sure board members are in place that can make these hard decisions of what we're doing financially in the future. And so as the question was, is it secured? Yes, it's secured. We're ready for when the growth starts, that last 10 to 20% fill in this community above us along the mountains. We're ready for it. Our engineers are 5 to 10 years ahead of infrastructure planning. So when those developers come back, we're ready there with water. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Satina.
Yes.
Question number 12. In your opinion, what are some of the critical issues facing Southern California water agencies?
I think some of the critical issues that we are facing as agencies is the reality of environmental restrictions. Some of them are dealing with them locally, but in general, we're all dealing with them in the Sacramento Delta, where we've lost 25% of imported water through fishery restrictions. Another factor is the diminished purchase of water because of the sluggish economy, but the agencies have fixed operating costs, and that's putting a strain on the agencies. I think one of the things that we have to do, like I said before, is we have to encourage our residents to do home improvements and help them do that. I would also reconsider reevaluating the tier rate structure. I think it's good, but I want to craft a tier rate structure based upon dwelling size or budget, water budget, so I can incentivize you to go to if you're in tier 3, to go to tier 2. And we can reduce imported supplies. Agencies across Southern California, I know this because this is what I do for a living, working with agencies in the San Gabriel Valley. And I may add that I am endorsed by Ken Manning, former general manager of the Chino Basin. And I'm very proud to say that. Cucamonga is a great agency. It's a good agency. I believe I have the skill sets. There's a vacancy on that board. And I believe I have the skill sets to help them as a team member get to the next level. So, in retrospect and summarize it, what I want to do is I want to help our member agency deal with the 2020 issue, and I'm glad to hear that things are marching in that direction. I want to get more recycled water into the ground, and I want to change the designation of recycled water from waste to a resource. And we can do that collectively so that we can meet that 2020 and actually bring back some more market to the community in terms of businesses, create some jobs. So, thank you.
Mr. Fletcher, this is question number 6. Water quality is an issue that we often read about new contaminants potentially found in our water supply. If elected to office, what type of oversight will you provide with regard to water quality?
Presently, the district has to maintain stringent state and federal EPA standards, and I think the district does an excellent job of providing safe, quality water to the customers. They test water frequently, and they do it at many locations throughout the city. And they just do an excellent job. I like to say that Rancho Cucamonga has always been known as the city with the plan, and I think the staff at the city has always been excellent. Our water district also has excellent staff there. They assess the needs for the future, and they plan for those needs. So as far as water quality, contamination, I think they're doing the job. We just need to encourage them to maintain those high standards.
Thank you. Mr. Curatello. This is question number 5. What are some of the critical issues facing agencies that utilize groundwater as part of their water supply portfolio?
Well, there are many. As has been stated, we do receive, about half of our water comes from groundwater. That's by way of wells. We do have 2 basins that we draw water from, the Cucamonga Basin, which is from the hills, the foothills, right down to about Foothill Boulevard, and then the Chino Basin, which is from about Red Hill, Foothill Boulevard, Etiwanda, down to Prado, over to Pomona. And a groundwater basin, obviously, anything that falls on it ends up in the water. A serious problem for groundwater in the Chino Basin and some other locals is some legacy pollution that we have from even dating back to World War II. One of the chemicals that found its way into our water system, or our groundwater rather, was perchlorate. And perchlorate is a chemical that isn't easy to treat, to take out of the water. We have, for a number of years, been working with other agencies in partnership, as well as legislators, Bob Dutton for one, David Dreyer for another, and many others, and even local supervisors. And we've been dealing with the Department of Defense and other contractors who are responsible for that pollution. So the perchlorate issue is a big one, and it's a big one for our area. But besides the Department of Defense, some of the legacy pollution came from early agriculture. Fertilizers were being used that had perchlorate in them. We're doing wellhead treatment now and planning to do more to rejuvenate some wells that are out of service right now. Not many, but some, and so that will increase our production also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Reed, this is question number 10. What do you feel is the water district's responsibility to the community?
Well, first of all, that commitment is to provide a reliable source of water at an affordable price. That's the big. Our major thing is it's your commodity, and when I say it's commodity, it's your natural resource that we're protecting. And we're protecting it in such a way that it's going to be there for you and your children and your children's children in this community as this community grows and it turns into the municipality it is now. Also, training. We have over 2,000 kids last year go through one of our learning centers. And these kids learn about biology, they learn about composting, they learn about water and what a precious natural resource it is. Also, it's transparency. Just 2 months ago, the state passed a bill saying that we did not have to post our minutes or our agendas on the door because they realized it was a cost and they could no longer afford that cost. We at the board decided we could afford that cost to post minutes and agendas on the board in our website to allow the community to know that what decisions we are making on and what decisions might affect them so they can come to their water board and interact with us to let us know how that might affect us. Another thing is tier rates. In 2010, we put forth tier rates. That's a 5-year 218 process. So the rates are in place for the next 3 years. But within that framework, we are adding a $35 million treatment structure to our Lloyd Michaels plant. And that is the long-range planning. We are not going to come back. We see what's going on in the future, and we plan for that. So our rate structure is set. Thank you. I've run out of time.
Mr. Cetina,
Yes.
why should customers in this region be concerned with all the issues arising out of the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta?
Well, I think we've all heard that we're highly dependent on imported water supply. And that water supply is expensive to sustain our Southern California economy. That supply is susceptible to seismic risk. That supply is also susceptible to many stressors in terms of sewage being dumped by the city of Sacramento, in terms of usage by many weekend warriors, so to speak, and many other things, and our pumps. And as a result, the federal government has cut us back. Our Southern California economy is dependent upon imported supplies. There are other areas that are more dependent than we are. And there's some that are blessed that not to be as highly dependent. Our economy is connected to each other, and so the whole entire region needs to be concerned. And I've spent my career, my last 25 years, working in an array of engineering disciplines. The last 10 has been to secure water from Northern California for the Colorado River, and also to protect the quality of water. And that's the primary reason why I'm running for Cucamonga Valley Water District, because I believe I have the skill sets necessary to help and be part of a collective board. You know, my wife and I, we sit around a dinner table and we drink water for dinner, because I think my kids need to experience the true pleasure of food. And I want to make sure that when we feed them that, we pour that glass of water that my children are safe. The district does a great job in quality, but we want to make sure that our infrastructure is up to speed. And that's why I'm going to promote public-private partnerships to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Fletcher, this is question number 4. What are some of the ways in which you will communicate with constituents on issues impacting their water supply?
Well, I think first you have to start with active community involvement and outreach. The 30 years that I've been in business in Rancho Cucamonga and all of my participation in the community, it's been part of a process of outreach and being involved in the community. I think that's what we need to do. With the water situation. What question was that again? Excuse me.
It was question number, I just mixed them up. 4.
Okay. As far as communicating with the community, I think we would continue with some of the programs that the district has now. That includes press releases, notices and advisories, district TV series, and also publications. The district has plenty of publications, and their website has a volume of information there. I think they do an excellent job of trying to communicate with the public. So I would continue to do those sort of things, stay active, stay accessible with the community. One of the things I've heard is that some of the residents at times have contacted the district and not had a response. I would stay accessible and be responsive to our customers.
Thank you. We've concluded our question and answer portion. Now we'll move into our candidates' closing remarks. Each of you will have 2 minutes to give closing remarks, and the order will be drawn randomly. So to begin our closing remarks, Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed?
Reed, you.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's getting late. I'm sorry.
Yes, it is. Well, I want to once again thank the Chamber in Southern California Edison for putting on this candidates forum. As I said, I've lived in this area for over 40 years. My 5 brothers and sisters all live within 12 miles of each other. In fact, my dad still lives in the house I grew up in. I live just 2 blocks away. Currently, I've been serving this is my 9th year, and I currently sit on the Finance and Engineering Committee. And and people come to me and say, what about my rates? And I just want to get out the word. Over 2 years ago, we went through a reduction in workforce. And when I say reduction, I mean 10% of our staff was reduced. It wasn't vacant positions. These were positions with people in them. Also, just last year, we went through to a 2-tier system. So our existing employees have remained the same, but now new employees, what are making up about 11%, are now on defined contributions instead of defined benefits. So we're ahead of the curve. We're ahead of what's coming on through the state because we believe in leading. I just also want to say that during my years, I've tried to I've been successful putting recycled water on our city golf courses and parkways. I've also added 80 million gallons of reservoir capacity, which in case we do get cut off from Northern California, we have these reservoirs that allow us to continue pumping water without having to put anyone in dire straits. I believe in governmental transparency. I believe in providing excellent service and a safe, clean, reliable water source at affordable costs. I thank you for your vote and your future vote for my re-election to the Cucamonga Valley Water District. And once again, my name is Randall Reed. Thank you.
Mr. Fletcher.
Well, I'd just like to say, I'd like to get these guys up on the Planning Commission, and we'll throw questions at them and see how it goes. But
I want to do it.
We'll be at your next meeting.
Once again, I'd like to thank the Chamber for allowing us to introduce ourselves to the public, and knowing who you're voting for and why is important, but it's not always easy with the number of candidates that we've got on the ballot. So let me please tell you a little bit about myself. I've lived in Rancho Cucamonga for 32 years. Been married to my wife, Sandy, for 37 years, still happy to. 2 children raised in Rancho, 4 grandchildren, and 2 dogs. I've owned my own equipment finance business in Rancho for 30 years. Been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for 25 years, 9 years on its board of directors, and 1 as its chairman. Have served on the Planning and Historic Preservation Commission for almost 10 years now. I'm especially proud of my service on the Planning Commission and the beautiful city that we've built for our families and businesses. I've always kept our residents' interests as a top priority. As a director of the Water Board, I will continue to be your advocate and look after our residents' interests, and that includes a reliable supply of high-quality water at a reasonable rate. I'm running for Water Board in order to give the residents and the businesses better representation. The board is presently made up of public and water industry employees. The majority of our current board members work for other water agencies that our district either contracts with or has direct or indirect dealings with. There presently is no independent private sector or business representation on this board. My business, finance, and civil planning experience can provide the diversity to better represent your interests. You don't need to be a water industry employee to set water policy. You just need to serve in the best interest of the district's customers, and that is my pledge to you. Please join other community leaders that know me and have endorsed me.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. I have to cut you off.
Okay.
Mr. Satina.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to express my position and why I'm seeking this position, this open position on the Cucamonga Valley Water District. And thank you to the people who are watching us at home. My name is Luis Satina. I'm a husband, father of 5. I moved my family to Rancho Cucamonga where my sister lives and my brother lives. And this is my home. This is my community. I'm anchored. Like many people, your house is underwater, you can't move. And I love this community because it provides my children with the safe haven that you couldn't get in other places. And that's why a lot of people move here. Like, I have 25 years experience with the Metropolitan Water District in an array of disciplines. I've been chair and vice chair of legislative coalitions for chambers, protecting the interests of chambers in my professional life. What I want to do is I want to help the Cucamonga Valley Water District. It's got a great staff, and I know that. I want to be another element on the board who provides another dynamic. Everybody brings a set of skill sets. I think I have a certain set of skill sets to make a difference as a team. Now is not the time to throw stones. We got some big challenges ahead of us, and we got to move together collectively. I'm proud to say that I'm endorsed by Ken Manning, former water master, Chino Basin general manager. Also by Senators Bob Huff, Republican, and State Senator Ed Hernandez. As your representative, I'm going to have to go reach across party lines to secure funding. A director represents an agency. He doesn't run the agency. He works in concert with the general manager and its staff. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring my skill sets, I'm going to bring my experience, engineering experience, policy experience, and the commitment that you can see in my eyes when I talk to you about my family and my community. And I want to make a difference because I want my kids to see that Dad is a participant, not a spectator, because I want them to follow in those footsteps. Please vote for Luis Cetina, Cucamonga Valley Water District. Thank you very much.
Mr. Cartello, one left, huh? Thank you. This has been great. In closing, I do want to thank our community, number one, for allowing me the honor to serve you over these several years on your water board and to represent you. I'd like to thank the Chamber and Southern California Edison. This is very important to outreach to the community so they can make good decisions when it comes time to vote. I do know that the time is short in these forums, and we're not allowed to really give a lot of details on some issues. But I do hope that my many years of community service has demonstrated my commitment to this community and my dedication to the community. I truly do believe in our system of government. I'm very proud to be an American. I never forget the fact that the Cucamonga Valley Water District is part of the American system of government, and I know that as an elected board member, it's our job and our duty to represent the people that elect us and send us there on their behalf. I believe we are blessed to have free elections, and during campaigns, candidates make all sorts of promises, well-intended and otherwise. But the best way that we have to judge a candidate and their future behavior is to know their past. I have been in the public arena for 3 decades, just almost 3 decades, 28 years, right here in Rancho Cucamonga, in Upland, in Ontario, in Fontana, and in San Bernardino County. I have conducted myself honorably. I've, to the best of my ability, tried to represent the people that elected me and make decisions that are based on what is good for my community. And I've tried to do the right thing for the right reason, and if reelected, I will continue that. Thank you.
I want to thank each of our candidates for coming tonight and participating in this candidates forum. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Rancho Cucamonga Chamber of Commerce's 2012 Candidates Forum, sponsored by Southern California Edison. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.